Well, as they say that legacy is not built overnight, it is in fact forged in time, across generations that dared to dream and had the discipline to endure. Because we all know it begins with a vision, humble in origin, but extraordinary in destiny. So through ET Now Family Business Excellence Summit and Awards 2025, we recognize resilience, reinvention, and the rare excellence that spans generations. And now, ladies and gentlemen, to set the stage with a perspective that's grounded in stewardship and strategic foresight, may I please invite on stage Arpita Vinay, Senior Managing Director and Co-CEO, Spark Capital PWM.
While majority of the entrepreneurs, which is almost about 88% of them, feel that the next generation is capable to take on the reins, only about half of them expect the children to take over the business. Talks to you about two things. There's a growing openness on the previous generation to allowing voice, and there is in the incoming generation, that there's a general shift in the motivation and an urge to choose their own identity. These numbers totally tell you a very powerful story of scale, of impact, of ambition, and most importantly, transition that's underway. But that's not the entire story, because legacy cannot be measured in numbers alone. It's measured in something far more enduring, the ability to evolve, inspire, and remain relevant.
We're now about to enter a dialogue. We all know that certain legacies are not only respected, they are revered. And this particular session explores the remarkable continuum of the Tata Group, whose story is inseparable from India's economic ascent.
Where we have a lot of startups and unicorns, etc. How should they look at building a legacy, and where the returns are expected at a short-term investments, etc.?
Legacy business houses are like large forests, and the unicorns startups are like mushrooms which grow in the forest. Extremely valuable, but it will be very difficult for them to replace a legacy house or grow into one. It is not that they cannot grow into, but normally they cannot. And why do they grow? They grow because their legacy houses have failed to fulfill a social or economic need. When legacy houses fail, unicorns take over, and both play an enormous role in the affairs of the society and for the welfare of the country.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.
From a dialogue, we now move to a trialogue. This particular session actually focuses on a very pertinent question as to what does it really mean to inherit responsibility and not just reputation.
One of the questions, and I see a lot of young faces in the room as well, so your message to the next generation who are taking charge, what is one sort of your personal learning that you want to pass on to the people who are getting into taking charge?
What's most important, which I have learned specifically to my industry, is holding on to the ethics. The ethics and the principles which were laid back then, that's something which is winning hearts, which is winning us customers. Because of the one mistake which the new generation makes, the 40, 50, 60-year-old legacy also gets ruined eventually, and the baggage comes back to the first generation as well.
Very well said.
I was entering the hotel space, which is considered to be, a very sexy, luxurious environment. And what I chose to do was to pick the one project that no one else wanted to do. And it meant centralized purchasing, sitting in stock rooms, talking to financial controllers, and going to each property to figure out how we could really create a centralized system and truly add value. And because it was so effective, within a year we were able to show dramatic results, and it was something that no one saw coming.
Rahul, your take on it?
For the new generation, I would say always be grateful actually for the work and the legacy that you have. I see that a lot of new generation, normally they tend to fend off the business and actually want to do something new, which is good. But I always believe that actually you should first try and improve on the businesses on that your fathers and your grandfathers have built. it's an old school thought, but I feel that after that, then you should venture out for other businesses.
Now we'll have our speakers come together to unpack the complexities of legal architecture, estate stewardship, and family alignment as we talk about safeguarding family vision across generations.
In your view, what are the major obstacles that you see most families facing when it comes to succession for cross-border assets, and maybe in our Indian structures and wills also valid in overseas jurisdictions?
The nature of the estate is changing. One aspect of that is that as we are going global, businesses are going global, assets are also becoming global. So one big challenge in planning in a sort of multi-jurisdictional estate is the laws of each country. So while you could, you could write the intention in the charter or a family settlement, but the reality is that if you need to enforce or probate a will maybe in the UK. It needs to qualify as per the laws of the UK. What is required is that wherever the assets are situated, local documents need to be drawn up as per that country to ensure that the enforcement is there.
The theme for our next session is all about real estate to real impact.
Suppose today if you had to start something new, would you really touch real estate or you would have done something different?
Real estate is a very difficult business, and anybody in his senses shouldn't get into it. But I think the issue is, I would, if I had the money and the capital I have today, I would do a family-run business and put in the stock market and say that I run a family office. I think that would be the best, and probably travel with my grandchildren all over the world. So I think, and probably handle the family office from there.
Our next guest joining us will reflect on the leadership that's anchored in empathy. And this is where she'll also get to explore what it really means to expand a global brand while staying grounded in familiar and cultural roots.
Around 25 years ago, you came in to run a business. That too in a very legacy, male-dominated industry. Must have been very difficult.
So there's one thing I have learned. While it's going to be male-dominated, I've learned something that I've always played on my strengths. I didn't know what textile was, but I knew the consumer. I knew that the other side, the buyer, was a woman. I knew that I have to run this company with innovation and R&D, because if I don't create a differentiated product, the consumer is not going to buy it. We are present in more than 60 countries across the globe. It's the 21st century, and I think we are living in an equal world, and it better be an equal world.
So imagine this persona of a 30-year-old, very ambitious about her career in life. You said, know your art. You said that's important for the person to do. What else should that person do to be able to, 25 years later, come onto a stage like this?
We need a mentor who can guide you, who can support you and be your biggest cheerleader when you're feeling very, very down. If I ask any 30-year-old here and who wants to start off anything, know what you want to do. Your passion should drive you. You should find a mentor to guide you. And yes, you should be driven by hard work, because that's what it's going to be.
With that, let's now bring your focus up next to another very, very incredible fireside chat. Well, this is where the big question comes as to when do family businesses evolve into institutions?
What are some of the challenges and sort of resistance or cultural points you observe during this transition, both sides? Obviously from the family, but also from the professionals.
No promoter should wait to have professionals now. None. I have companies of 50 million, we're getting professionals. Break them in, test them, rotate them, grow them. Find the talent early. Those who do not digitize, they will be left behind. It's not negotiable. Most promoters can't do that. So you've got to get professionals, learn, drive it, make it happen.
How did sort of Marico approach succession planning, and what were some of the lessons learned from that?
I stepped down as managing director and appointed a professional to succeed me. Normally, in any organization, whenever there is a dilemma, whether I should put my son as my successor or a professional, one thumb rule I use is what is good for the organization comes first. So at that time, this professional who was working with me for about 10 years or so, and he had done well, and he came to me and said that, I want to occupy your chair. And I'm just having a conversation with you because I want to be a CEO. And if you think that it's not possible, because in most family-managed organizations it is not possible, just say so that I will look out for some other option. But if you think that I can play that role in this company, I would love to do that. At that time, mentally I was not prepared to step down. But again, I used that thumb rule of what is good for the organization comes first. So I appointed him as the managing director.
Our next spotlight session actually puts the focus on what nobody tells the second gen.
You succeeded one of the great businesses, that too in the film industry. The second gen is always known by the surname, and there's always expectations on the surname. So for you, when you started it, you would have faced a severe pressure. What was your thought going through at that point of time? And what would you want that you do regularly, but world rarely understands that?
You know, when you're in media business or on sports business, you attract a lot of attention. And you have to be mentally prepared for it. Speaking about my dad, I don't think many people know, he used to sell saris on the footpath. And he's built an empire from there. I've seen that. So the shoes are very, very big to fill. I want to change a promoter-led company to a corporate organization where it's democratic, and letting go of the control is always a challenge. But that's the pressure you face every day. And because my dad came from the background he only understands numbers. So till I don't deliver the kind of numbers he did, that pressure will always be on.
With that, ladies and gentlemen, let me also bring your focus now to our next session that is truly rooted in ambition.
A 3-decade of spectacular entrepreneurship. How has been this journey for you?
It's a roller coaster I'm still on. And you never know which the next turn takes you. It's just could be hit by a thud. You could be on an unbelievable euphoric high. But at the end of the day, you know that you're still on the roller coaster. And that's good. As long as the ride has not ended, up and down is a part of it.
You have created a legacy for yourself. What does legacy mean to you? And what would be one tip or one advice that you would like to give to people who are in the journey of creating legacy?
Let legacy and bloodline not be linked. Because legacy means you've created a path. And that path doesn't really have to be stuck to the people who are born out of you to follow. And your legacy can sometimes be taken forward by some protege of yours or someone who mirrors your ambitions. And that is okay.
We're now about to march ahead to the most awaited moment of the evening, the felicitation of India's most exemplary family enterprises. And our very first award category is Excellence in Multi-Generational Legacy. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together as we hear it for the Nair family, the Ranga Rao family, the Gadgil family, Tyagarajan family, Let's move on to our next category as well. This category is all about excellence in family business innovation. Let's invite on stage the Maheshwari family, the Kapoor family, the Khambata family, the Sharma family, the Singh family, the Vadvani family. We now move on to the excellence in reimagining legacy brand. We now march ahead to invite on stage the Badwe family, the Lohia family, the Shah family, the Agarwal family. Our next category, which is excellence in dynastic expansion. Let's now also hear it for the Shah family, the Sanghvi family, the Jadhav family. Next set of category, which is the excellence in sustainability. So with that, let me please invite Bagla family, the Donthi family, the Kapoor family. And now let's move on to our final category for the evening. This is where we are focusing on excellence in generational values. We have with us the Dhanuka family, the Agarwal family, the Karya family. And on that note, while we do come to the end of the felicitations, thank you very much for joining us this evening.
What is known as the Great Wealth Transfer, which means there's a huge amount of wealth which is going to change hands, which is already changing hands. But the number is estimated to be about $1.5 trillion. To put that in perspective, it's a third of India's current GDP that's expected to change hands and get into newer generation over the next couple of years, which are far more open to perhaps looking at formal ways of engagement as well. So one of the biggest challenges is how do you execute this, or how do you develop organization capabilities to deliver customer experience and advice consistently. And the development of the capabilities and the resource commitment and building an organization memory around that is something that takes enormous amount of patience, work, and time. And so that would be one. And the other one would be it is a hugely people-intensive business. And if you were to look at the size of the opportunity and the talent pool that's available, they're on very different planet. So one is in a rapidly evolving customer expectations and market, how do you continuously upskill the talent? How do you retain that? And I think a bigger challenge would be how do you also ensure that you're introducing new quality talent to the pool, and therefore the organization process to ensure that you're able to develop talent as well. Most of the entrepreneurs would have about a large part of their wealth still tied up in the business, and when they think about it, they really don't think about it as two different silos: their personal wealth and the wealth that sits within the business. And if they don't think about it in a siloized manner, an organization that thinks about it in a siloized manner may not be the right one to be able to solve it. And that's how we started with at Spark, our origin was in investment banking, specifically dealing with small and medium-sized entrepreneurs over 2 decades of their life journey, from whether capital raise requirements, from growth capital to some M&A activity, to the entire life cycle of how the thinking that develops when the business becomes very mature. At Spark, we're able to think about in a holistic manner, have had experience and capabilities around it, and I think that makes us uniquely positioned to serve these clients better. Succession is a big, the biggest event that can be in the, and that's not so much only about personal asset succession, which is technical and complex, because a lot of time there will be assets across various jurisdictions and things like that, so a unidimensional thinking doesn't work. So you need to have the technical capabilities to understand the regulatory frameworks across all jurisdictions. But I would still think that's the easy to solve part. The more difficult to solve part is the business succession, which is fairly emotive. So whether it be handling the wealth management requirements across entities, family members, asset classes, jurisdictions, looking at the corporate finance requirements in a pretty holistic manner and handling the personal and business succession. I think we have organization capabilities and experience across all of this.
I think the Indian market is in a super cycle. At a macro level, we seem to be going where the GDP seems to be growing with rapid urbanization in place. The residential market seems to be on a stronger footing with rate cuts, which will further whet the appetite of home buyers. I think it's a great phase. The combination of these factors ushers us into where there will be a constant upgrade demand. With an average median age of 28 today, and maybe India as a country reaching an average median age of 31, there are many years that a home buying journey uh, would see over a period of time. Beyond this, today the consumers are far more matured. The questions largely hover around in their purchase what's the future value of the home? A home is not just a commodity or a requirement, but it actually transcends the need into experiential living. I think these are some of the factors which are driving decisions and demand in the Indian market.
To structure the family's business assets to avoid disputes, I think there is no one structure that fits all. But as a first principle, it is important to segregate the business and personal assets. A lot of families don't do that, and that is the reason for disputes. Once the assets are segregated, the assets can easily be bequeathed using instruments like wills and trusts. As far as the management of the business is concerned, what businesses should do, they should have a family constitution which puts the foundational beliefs and principles of the business. And that document is also the constitution and charter of the business. And that should be reviewed every two to 3 years as the businesses evolve to ensure that any changes that are required are made. Other than that, I think some practical things one should look at are in terms of who shall be the trustees in case a trust is set up and who shall be the beneficiaries. So these are important considerations one should have in terms of succession planning to ensure that there are no disputes.
Mentorship plays a very, very important role in the next generation and making them success. While the next generation has got advantage of technology, access to the technology, artificial intelligence, and various tools of the modern business and trade, but still the next generation needs mentorship in the areas of human relationships, culture, protecting the organization culture, protecting the legacy of an organization, protecting the brand value of an organization, and retaining the talent. Today's world, retaining the talent is most important for any entrepreneur to be success, and mentorship is required in bringing together all these attributes and making the second generation success. A mere technology alone might not be sufficient, but technology with a human face and with an understanding of the business is very relevant, and that's where the mentorship plays an important role.
The two things that I would, put as a word of caution for anyone, you have to have a very clear and cogent and tangible idea, and you have to then focus maniacally towards that. You need to totally focus. And the second part of it is you need to have a backup or a contingency plan in place at all points in time. The moment you have a contingency plan, you cannot go wrong. So, the last piece, if at all, would be resilience. At all points in time, you have to have resilience, because there will be days, which may not be the days that you expect them to be. It's a roller coaster ride out there, but enjoy every moment of it and ride it on.
Yeah, I think at Dream Set Go, we look at travel, sport, and aspirations converge, right? So India as a country, the interest in sports and travel is continuously growing, and with the upswing on the affinity towards doing experiences that money can't buy. So the focus is around that. So we can offer a combination of sports, travel, and experiences. So basically when people travel abroad, they continue to watch a sport, and we are able to build exciting experiences around that. I think that's the focus for us. And we are super excited because India as a country now is moving towards not only looking at travel as an option, but also looking at how they can combine sport and experiences together.
Leading with foresight, I think a very important part of that is to stay relevant, as we've done with, I feel like with this association at Batil, which is one of our premium gourmet and luxury gifting brands. So at Batil, we're a brand that is deeply rooted in rich tradition, heritage, and culture. We're extremely proud to come on board as a luxury gifting partner, especially when ET now is honoring the legacy of various family businesses.